All right. Hey, what is up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. Sorry, haven't done this in a while. I know it's been a couple of months of almost a year since we've done this, but um, had a lot of situations that have occurred in our personal life and kind of changed what we were doing or how we were doing things, and got to a point now where we're back to hopefully possibly being able to do some things live and um, now that we're here, let's let it rip. So, for those of you guys that are out there that have followed everything that we've done or how we've done it the last, 10, 15 years, whatever it may be. So I was an assistant coach the last 4 years. I was a defense coordinator at a private high school in Jacksonville, Florida. And I took a job at a public school, which is 2 miles from my house, where my wife teaches at, and my oldest daughter graduated from there last year when I took the job, and my youngest daughter is still there now as a 10th grader, and originally took the job as an assistant coach, just a wide receiver coach. Just came over so that I could get back into state retirement. Get closer to home, 2 mile drive as opposed to a 50-mile drive, and took a situation where my wife was teaching there. I had a daughter graduating and a daughter that's going to be a 10th grader, and took the job basically because all the planets kind of aligned. It put me back into FRS, which is Florida Retirement System, which I lost when I went to a private school. So it put me back in that system, which I had 23 years of experience in. And then in county with my wife teaching, insurance made us, the two of us together. Our insurance was, a huge, huge savings. And then transportation. So long story short, took the job just to be the receiver coach and a quality control guy on offense, so to speak. And gave up being a coordinator, gave up being all the things that I've always been, and took the job because it was better for me and my family. And long story short, 4 months later, whatever it may be, it's middle of July, and the head coach comes to me and says, "Hey, I think you really need to be the head coach, and you're on campus. You're here all the time. I'm not on campus. You can deal with the kids." So got the head coaching job mid July to third week of July, if that. And it was the same staff, same school, same kids I've been around for the last 5, 6 months. So it wasn't like a completely different world or a completely um, new change, so to speak, of anything that we were doing. But obviously, it's new when you become the head coach and you take over the program. So the last 6, 7 months have been a whirlwind of what we've done, where we've gone, where we've come from. So um, unfortunately, haven't been able to sit down and do the YouTube live like we used to do. And my YouTube videos themselves have taken a hit a little bit because I'm still trying to get kind of accustomed to um, the setting, where I'm going to film them, how I'm going to film them, what my schedule is, how I can do stuff. So started to get back the last couple of weeks once I got the football season kind of in check, and got it to a scenario where I could at least figure out my schedule, my time off, what I can do, when I can't do it. All the things that you want to be able to take care of and you need to be able to take care of. It just got to a situation where trying to figure out, obviously, A, my job, which is what it is, and that's the most important thing, and then B, YouTube. How can I figure that out? How can we get YouTube live? How can we get our videos? How can we get all the other stuff that we used to do? So um, my previous job, that was the laptop that I was using. That was the computer that I was using to do all my stuff. I don't have a laptop on my own. My daughter has one to go to college, and my other daughter has one, but I don't have one of my own that I really use. So the laptop situation, where we were filming videos from, all that stuff that you would think by now, 10 years into our career or into our existence, that you would have your own laptop studio, all these other things. You would think that, but I don't. So um, we're back. We're trying to figure out a way. I'm now on a Chromebook from my wife's class at school. So I'm trying to figure out how this is going to work, if it's going to work. If it doesn't work, so be it. If it works, awesome. But, back to doing the things that we kind of love to do, manage my way through a season as a head coach. I didn't call either side of the ball. So that YouTube wise, that kind of, things took a little bit of a hit there, right? Because I'm not calling either side of the ball. I've given that job to other people, and they have to do what they think they need to do to survive, and they need to call things how they think they need to call it, and I need to interject as a head coach where I need to interject, but at the same time, I'm not going to go in and call anything for people that I've given a job to, because if I've given a job to them, then why give the job if you're going to call stuff, right? So, um, back in the head coaching realm, back trying to figure out what you need to do as a head coach as far as your culture and raising money and paperwork and all the different things that you need to do as a head coach that kind of, take away from your time as a coordinator. So we got that first year under our belt, and we went 6-4. Didn't make the playoffs, which, kind of sucks, but in a way doesn't suck. If you're going to make the playoffs just to lose in the first round by 20 or 30 points, then why would you really want to make the playoffs? We had a good team this year. We had players that I really liked coaching, but at the end of the day, our team was not really set up to advance multiple rounds in the playoffs. And I know that might be frustrating to some people to hear, but it is what it is based on looking at the teams that we played all year and the results of the teams that we played all year. Not really sure we were going to do much more damage than 1 or 2 rounds. So when you take a new place over and you look at what you have on your roster, what you have coming back, what you have graduating, you kind of get to a point where you start to look at the offseason as, all right, well, everybody wants to continue playing. You never want to lose. Every football season is going to lose, or it's going to end, I'm sorry, on a loss, except for the state champions, right? So in Florida, if there's going to be 6 to 8 state champions, those are the only schools that are going to, end the season on a win. Everybody else is going to end on a loss, right? In the NFL, 31 teams are going to end on a loss, and one team's going to end on a win. College football, 115 teams are going to end on a loss, and one team's going to end on a win. So, you have to be able to understand as a coach that your season usually ends on a loss. And if it ends on a win, then obviously you're a state champion. So, to me, though, the interesting thing to look at as a head coach and when you're dealing with programs is, well, if you're going to end on a loss, when do you want to end on that loss, right? You never want to end as a competitor. You never want to end on a loss, right? You always want to win every game, prepare every game, do everything you can to win every game. But if there's only 8 teams that are going to end their season with a win and 450 teams that are going to end with a loss, well, if we're one of those 450, where do you want to end with that loss? And, when I think about that, I'm thinking about that in terms of, okay, well, what do we have coming back? What were our seniors? I'm a first year head coach. What did I inherit? What did I have to take over? And from what I inherited and had to take over, when the season ends, as frustrated as you may be, is it better for the season to end then, right? So, like for us on our team, we only started 2 seniors on offense and 2 seniors on defense. So theoretically, I'm sorry, 3 seniors on defense. Theoretically, we return 9 seniors on offense. I'm sorry, 9 players on offense and 8 players on defense, right? So when you look at that and you say, okay, are we going to make the playoffs? Can we make the playoffs? Well, with the team we have, how much damage can we actually do if we make the playoffs? I would love for all the seniors that I inherited to continue another game and to play another game. And I would love to get reps for my younger kids. And I would love everybody that's involved in high school football, from the cheerleaders to the band to the admin. I would love everybody to get one more chance at high school football that year. But in reality, what you really need to look at is, well, what are we going to do with the chance that we have? How would we make the chance that we have, you know, worthwhile to say that it's good that this season extends, right? So again, you never want the season to end. You never want to say that it's over, but when you really look at it from a head coaching standpoint, especially a head coaching standpoint 6 months into the program, at some point you have to kind of look at things to where what's best for us, what's best for me, what's best for the program. And you know, with where we were at in our program and the games and the teams that we played that were going to be in the playoffs, not in the playoffs, however you want to look at it, you know, you have to get there to win it all. I get that. You have to be in it to win it. I get that. But, when reality sets in and you look at things and you go, okay, well, here's the teams we're playing and we're not being able to beat. And here's the teams that they're playing and they're losing. Eventually you get to a point where you say, okay, well, if we would have got there, what would we really have done? It would have cost us an extra week, maybe money to travel, whatever the expenses are for your AD and your principal and your admin and your football program. Is it really worth it to do that? And, again, every experience for kids is worth it. Every experience for seniors is worth it. But as a head coach, there's going to come a time where you have to sit down and go, okay, what's best for me? What's best for everybody else, right? I always want to put what's best for the program in front of what's best for me. Well, at 53 years old and, probably maybe the last head coaching job of my career, at some point, I have to start thinking about what's best for me, what's in my best interest. How can we get this where we want it to go? And, you know, this season, the sooner the offseason came, as frustrating as it is and as disappointing as it is for the seniors involved, well, as soon as the offseason came, maybe the better it was for us because if 90% of our team is coming back and the 100% that is here can't really make an impact in the playoff system. And again, how can you say that if you don't go? I get it. But analytically, for me as a football coach, I look at it and say, okay, here's the games we played. Here's the people we played. Here's the people they played. Here's the result. What are the chances of us getting out, surviving, going 5 rounds, or doing whatever we need to do? So at some point, reality sets in, and you look at it as a head coach and go, okay, well, you know what? We were probably better off not making the playoffs. Off season starts sooner. I get a chance to focus on what I need to focus on sooner. I get a chance to look at and evaluate the things I need to do with my coaching staff. I get a chance to look at and evaluate the things I need to do with our systems, offense, defense, special teams. And we get a chance to start building towards the future of what, again, I was hired to do, right? So I don't think I was hired to win this year. I don't think I was hired to win right now. Our roster right now is, you know, probably 50 to 60% worse than it was last year, if not more than that. Graduated 95% of the players that made plays on offense last year, right? So if you look at last year's team and you look at skill positions, transfers, graduation, 95% of the offense that statistically put up numbers last year graduated. Okay, so what are you supposed to do with what's left? That's your job as a head coach, right? So you inherit that, you take that over, and now if 95% of that graduated, what are the expectations of the results that you are now supposed to, come with this season? We come back and we only start two seniors on defense. I'm sorry, three seniors on defense, right? So eight of the players on defense are underclassmen. So when you look at that, it's hard as a head coach. You always have to put the program first. You always have to put players first. And it's hard to look at a situation and say, hey, this year is what it is. I'm all in it for next year. I'm all in it for the next 3 years, right? You look at all these college jobs that are out there and all these college guys that are going to change and move and the transfer portal and everything else. Well, we live in a world where everybody in the game of football is worried about what's best for them right now. And they're worried about what's best for them right now so that it can catapult them into the future. Well, as a high school coach, I don't really think you can say that all the time, right? So, as much as I'm worried about what's best for me moving forward, I'm also still worried about what's best for the kids that are there, right? So, I couldn't wholeheartedly sell out all the seniors that were there and all the other coaches that have been there for a long time and say that this season is done. I'm building for next year, transfer portal, recruiting classes, right? That's, it's kind of the reality of the business, but it's not the nature of what we do. So, as a head coach, I had to kind of try and survive, do the best I could. And we won 6 games. We had a chance to go to the playoffs. We did a lot of things that I thought probably weren't possible, but we got to a point where we achieved those things. Well, now that we're in the off season, now that the playoffs are over, we're not in. Everybody else is playing. God bless them. And it's second round in Florida. Now we got to get to a point where we start thinking about, all right, well, what's best for us? What's best for me, right? So I've got to figure out as a head coach what's best for me schematically, offense and defense, right? I'm not going to call plays right now. I haven't said that I'm going to call plays. I'm going to, allow the coaches that I have to continue to do that, which I did this year, because I would love to be a head coach that's an administrator. I would love to be a head coach that worries about all 3 phases, decision making. I would love to worry about timeouts and when we're going to go for it on fourth down and when we're going to kick a field goal and when we're going to go for 2 and, you know, when we're going to onside kick and all those things, and just have that to worry about. And, give the people that you have given an opportunity to be your coordinators, give them a chance to go ahead and do their job. Because if you're going to oversee everything that they do, or if you're going to, you know, put a stronghold on what they do, then don't make them coordinators. Just say that you're going to call everything, right? So I inherited the job. I have coordinators. I have people that I like doing their job. So for me, it's about finding a way to say, I'm going to be a head coach. I'm going to administrate. Well, the hard part for me is that's really not what I do well. I'm not the greatest administrator. I'm not the greatest, um, you know, person to say that I'm going to put these people in position to win and I'm going to do my job to help them win. I'm better as a coordinator. I'm better as a game plan manager. I'm better as a guy that's analyzes high school films and analyzes opponents and in game analyzes how the game's going. I'm better at calling games in the emotion of calling games, right? So it's different for me, but it's still at this point in my career something that I would like to continue doing. I like having guys that are responsible for one side and the other. I like being able to say that I'm going to just be a head coach, but it's still, difficult to look back and say, I don't really have as much of an impact on one side or the other. I don't really have as much of an impact to say that I affect the game in one way or the other, when I feel like that's really my strong point and that's what I do best. So moving forward, going into next year, obviously as a head coach now, I start to look at what are we doing weight room? What are we doing culture? What are we doing with our, program development? How are we doing all those things? What can I do to help the offensive coordinator and the defense coordinator? What can I do to help bring my skill set more to the forefront to say that this is what we do, this is what I do, this is how I can help us win games, right? So obviously those are all the things that we're looking at, all the things that I'm evaluating. Um, First season back to me was a total success. Loved everything about being a head coach again. Whether or not I call plays or not, irrelevant. However, we figure out we need to move forward is going to be the best for everybody involved. But it's great. It was good for me to be a head coach again. It's good to be in that role. But now I want to get back into the off season of YouTube Live. How can we help other people? How can we help other coaches? How can I give you my input on things that I think would help you be successful, right? And things that I think, um, you know, can help you get into a direction that you want to go, right? Answering all the questions that I've always answered on YouTube, answering all the questions that I've always been able to, find a way to say, here's what I would do, here's what I like doing, here's what you could do, here's how you could do it. So, tonight was my way to get back in and say, hey, I'm going to start doing YouTube Live again. I didn't have a chance to call plays. I didn't have a chance to be a coordinator, but I am a head coach again. Now that the season's over, I'm going to have more time to dedicate myself to play fast football, dedicate myself to doing these YouTube lives again, figuring out how to do videos, how to do, whatever the setup is, the camera, the whiteboard, whatever it is, figuring all those things back out, or back out again to figure out this is what I love to do, right? The off season is where I thrive. YouTube is where I thrive. Play fast football is where I thrive. Helping other coaches And again, that's why I enjoyed taking on the role of being a head coach, because you should be able to help other coaches, right? Obviously, when it's your program, it's a little bit different because there's, a lot more egos involved, and there's a lot more, you know, for me, the stakes are higher. It's my name in the paper. It's my name everywhere else. So it's not just to say, "Hey, I want to help people. Hey, I want to give you my advice." I got to do a little bit more than that, right? So now that it's the off season, we get into research, we get into studying, we get into all the things that we love to do. So off season football, play fast football, all the things that we love, trying to figure out what the best scenario is for us. But if you tuned in tonight, YouTube Live, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for being around again to get an update that we might be on YouTube Live. I'm going to keep doing these. We're going to keep doing more of them. The college football season is coming to an end. Would love to talk to people about college football, the trends, pro football, the trends, who's doing what, how's it going? Because when I talk schematics with a lot of people, the thing that I try to get people to understand is, okay, if you want to study the wing T, there's wing T teams that are going to win state championships. There's wing T teams that are 1-9. If you want to study tight 3 high, there's 3 high teams winning state championships. There's 3 high teams that are 1-9. If you want to study spread football, there's spread football teams that are winning state championships. There's spread football teams that are 1-9. If you study college football, everything you study in college football, if there's a 3-4 team out there that's top 3 in the nation, there's 3-4 teams out there that are 1-9. If there's a flexbone team out there that is top 10 in the nation, there's a flexbone team out there that is 0-10. Right? So schematics become flavor of the month. What is hot? What is good right now? Who's winning with it? But at the end of the day, any schematic, if done the right way with the right players, can win. Anything can be effective. So what we need to choose is, what's the right way to be effective? How can we be effective with our players, our program, and our staff? And that's what YouTube Live is going to become. That's what it's going to be this entire offseason. It's going to be us talking about, what can we do? What can you do? What is your situation? What is your coaching situation? What is your playing program situation? What is your roster situation? How can you take things that you need to do? How can you mix them with things that you want to do? And how can you create the best football program? So appreciate all of you being out there. Appreciate all of you being Play Fast fans. Thank you for jumping on a live stream, which I don't really know how it went tonight because I'm doing it on a Chromebook from school, but we'll figure it out. Appreciate every one of you following us. Appreciate you being here. Remember, you won't play well until you play fast. Thanks for being here tonight. See you guys next time.